Hi, I'm Mr. C from the Detroit Children's Museum. What a great day, like all days are, to read a book. Well, here I'm standing right behind the bow anchor of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald. All right, let's read the book together as we learn about the SS Edmund Fitzgerald. The Big Fitz by Jack Edwards. The Great Lakes' largest ship. When the Edmund Fitzgerald was launched on June 7, 1958, she was the longest vessel to sail the Great Lakes. It took over a year to build this great ship. Thousands came to watch and cheer as the Edmund Fitzgerald splashed into the water. The ship was named after Mr. Edmund Fitzgerald, whose company owned it. His grandfather and his grandfather's 5 brothers were captains of Great Lakes sailing ships. The many men who sailed the ship nicknamed her the Big Fitz. The Big Fitz was more than 729 feet long and 75 feet wide. That's longer than 2 football fields placed end to end. Her tall yellow striped smokestack was easy to spot from a distance. The hull and deck of the Big Fitz were painted deep shades of red to match the color of the iron ore she carried. Usain Bolt is one of the world's fastest human beings. He can run 34 feet per second. If the Big Fitz was more than 729 feet, how long would it take Usain Bolt to run from the bow to the stern of the Big Fitz? The Big Fitz was an ore carrier that set many records. Over 26,000 tons of iron ore could be placed in her cargo holds. That's enough iron ore to make steel for 7,500 automobiles. It would take more than 1,000 dump trucks to carry as much iron ore as the Big Fitz carried in a single trip. The Big Fitz had 3 cargo holds with 21 covers. The cargo holds were located in the hull of the ship. The covers kept the cargo in and the water out. All hands on deck. The Big Fitz operated 24 hours a day. 29 men worked on the ship, and they were divided into shifts. Some worked during the day, while others slept. The ship was the crew's home for 8 months each year. In the winter, when the Great Lakes were frozen over, the crew had 4 months of vacation. Everyone ate well and worked hard on the ship. Cooks prepared the meals, and there were always tasks to be done on board, like painting the ship and repairing equipment. In their free time, the crew watched TV, played games, read books, or wrote letters home. If you have a bit of time, what are some of the things that you like to do? I know you like to read books. Do you play card games? What type of card games do you play? Those are the type of the activities they did on the Big Fitz. A trip on the Big Fitz began at the loading docks in Superior, Wisconsin. It took about 4 hours to fill the cargo holds with iron ore pellets that were the size of marbles. With her cargo holds full, the Big Fitz headed east across Lake Superior to ports where steel was manufactured. These steel mill towns were located along the shore in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. A round trip took about 5 days. Before the Big Fitz returned to Wisconsin, water was pumped into big tanks called ballast tanks. The water in the ballast tanks weighed the ship down when the cargo holds were empty. Without the ballast water, most of the ship's hull would have been out of the water. Wind blowing from either side would have made it hard to steer. Once the crew arrived back in Wisconsin, the ballast water was pumped out and the cargo holds were filled with iron ore pellets again. Please refer back to the map on page 10. Take a minute to locate the states of Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. There is another state that's not named on this map or labeled on this map that also shares a shoreline with Lake Superior. Which state would that be? The Final Voyage. On November 9th, 1975, the Big Fitz began another routine voyage. The ship was carrying a load of 26,116 tons of iron ore to Detroit, Michigan. That evening, a fierce storm hit the Great Lakes. With over 30 years of sailing experience on the Great Lakes, Captain Ernest McSorley had sailed through many storms. He thought the bad weather would only delay their arrival. But the storm grew stronger. Powerful winds ranged from 60 to 100 miles an hour, and 30-foot waves crashed over the Edmund Fitzgerald's decks. Take a minute to look at that chart on the top of page 13. You see that little person there, about 6 feet in height? Do you see the height of the wave? How many feet is the height of that wave? Then please calculate for me, if you would. How many times higher is that wave than the 6-foot man or person there? The storm grew worse. Hail and snow made it hard for the crew to see. Captain McSorley sent a radio message to another cargo ship caught in the storm. He told them the Edmund Fitzgerald was taking on water and was listing. Later that evening, the captain of the other ship radioed back and asked how the Big Fitz was doing. Captain McSorley replied, "We are holding our own." That was the last message heard from the Edmund Fitzgerald. After that, the Big Fitz vanished from radar screens. What does the word listing mean as used in the story? Within hours, the Coast Guard sent helicopters and planes to search for the Edmund Fitzgerald. Other ships joined the search. Friends and family members anxiously waited for news about their loved ones, but no good news came. The next day, newspapers from all over the United States ran headlines about the disaster that took place on Lake Superior. An unsolved mystery. All 29 crew members lost their lives in the storm. It was one of the Great Lakes' worst maritime disasters. 14 years later, the Edmund Fitzgerald made headlines again. An expedition was organized to solve the mystery of the ship's sinking. A robot camera located the wreck 530 feet beneath the cold Lake Superior waters. The robot could see the pilot house and the ship's 195-pound bell. The bow was right side up in the water, but the stern was upside down. All that was left of the middle section were twisted pieces of steel. Iron ore pellets had spilled out on the bottom of the lake. There are many guesses about why the Big Fitz sank. Some people think she hit shallow ground near Caribou Island on Lake Superior. Maybe this ripped a hole in the bottom of the hull. The water pouring into the cargo holds might have made the ship too heavy to stay afloat. Others think that high waves leaked into the cargo holds around the hatch covers. Then big waves crashing from behind could have pushed one end of the ship up out of the water, causing the water and iron ore in the cargo holds to shift forward. This pushed the other end down below into the water. We will never know what actually caused the Big Fitz to sink. However, we do know the ship went down quickly. No one had time to call for help. It took over a year to build the Big Fitz, but only seconds for a Lake Superior storm to destroy her. Raising the bell. Almost 20 years after the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald, family members requested an expedition to recover the ship's bell. Now is our turn to make one last dive to recover the bell. The bell will serve as a memorial, a place to lay flowers and feel close, said Ruth Hudson, mother of one of the lost sailors. In the summer of 1995, divers cut the Edmund Fitzgerald's bell off the top of the pilot house. In its place, they left a replica of the bell, engraved with the names of the 29 crew members. Today you can see the original bell at the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum at Whitefish Point, Michigan. 17 miles away, the Big Fitz rests peacefully at the bottom of Lake Superior. Thank you for joining me today and reading with me the book, The Big Fitz by Jack Edwards. I hope you enjoyed it. By the way, where am I located? Here we have the anchor, like I mentioned before, of the Fitzgerald, the bow anchor. To the south of us, that way, across the Detroit River, is Canada. I'm at the Dawson Great Lakes Museum. But where exactly am I? Please join us soon for another video. Goodbye.